Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, welcome to Natural Sciences and Technology, Grade 6. In Term 3, Grade 6, we are looking at energy and change and systems and control. Now, if you can check here, this is the outline of what we do in Term 3. For example, in week 1, 2, and 3, we are supposed to go over the content of electric circuits. And then in week 1, 2, and 3, we are doing electric circuits. In week 4, it's electrical conductors and insulators. And then followed by week 6 and 7, then mains electricity. And in week 8 and 9, then that is basically what we are supposed to do this term. Now, let's look at our first topic. This is the topic of electric circuit, and this topic, it runs for 2 weeks. As you can see, I have highlighted there the first 2 weeks that we are going to do. And the other thing is that this topic runs, it counts for 12% towards the end of the year exam. So that's really a lot. You need to be able to know this topic in order for you to get a good grade. And let's start. One part of the things that you must know before we begin with the topic, I will expect you to know what is a blade or what are blades, what do we mean by a source, a device, output energy, components, pathway, as well as control device. And I think the reason why you need to be able to do this topic is that if you can see nowadays, modern life, it depends on electrical energy. And since that is the case, we need to be able to understand what exactly do we mean by simple electric circuits as it applies in our everyday appliances and the things that we use on a day-to-day basis. Now, let's begin. In our first lesson, this will typically take us about an hour or so. Our topic that we are going to discuss is a simple circuit, and we are required to know the following. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to name the 3 necessary components. Now, a circuit has got many components, but there are these 3 that are important, which you need to know. We must also be able to state the purpose of each of these components, and the specific aims are as stated, as well as also the science process skills. Remember, we've got skills that you need to be able to acquire in a science lesson, such as accessing and recalling information. You need to be able to observe, to predict, to interpret information, as well as to communicate. That is very important for you to know. So before we begin, I'd like for us to really go through this activity together. And it says here, activity number 1, we've got the topic there that is highlighted. And they're saying answer the following questions before you go through the next section. Question number 1, it says, where do you think energy comes from? Question number 2, it says, give your own definition of energy. And 3, if you're building a brand new house and you want an electric stove in your kitchen. Now, they say here that we must name all the things that must be done before for the stove to work. Like we do all the time, let me give you a few minutes for you to really think about this activity, and then you can pause the video, and after, let's say, 3 minutes, resume and we'll be going through this activity. Okay, you can pause now. All right. I hope that you were able to find the answers. Remember, I don't really expect you to get the correct answer here. What I expect is for you to try and actually gain an understanding of what is meant by that. So any answer here is acceptable, especially in these kind of questions. Let us check the first question. The question of where do we think electricity or energy comes from? In term number one, you would agree with me that we said energy comes from the sun. So the sun is the main provider of energy. In question number two, they say give your own definition of energy. So we define energy in science, in particular natural sciences, as anything that enable us to work, or you can either say anything that enable us to work or the ability. So anything that makes us to be able to work, we refer to that as energy. And the last question, we can answer it. Remember, we have an electric stove. It's new, just from the shop. So what you would normally do is to make sure that it is connected to the electrical supplier. Basically, we use Eskom in South Africa. And this main supply, we refer to it as the mains. We'll go through the mains in detail as we go through the topic of electricity. And another one is that we must get an electrician. An electrician is a person that works with electricity, and what they must do is install the connecting wires in our house. I think if you got that one correct, that's a mark, and then this one, 2 marks. This one, I would give you just about 3 marks, giving us a total of 6 marks if you got that correct. Mark yourself there. Okay, and then moving on to today's lesson. Remember, I did say that our topic is electric circuits. And we said we were going to talk about the 3 main. We are talking about the 3 main components of a circuit. There are other components, but for every circuit, we understand that these 3 must always be there. Now, number 1, it says a circuit has at least 3 components. Number 1 is a source of electrical energy. The energy needs to come from somewhere. Then conducting material such as a wire. Usually these are made up of metal. And then on top of that, we must also have a device that transfers energy for a useful purpose. Now, these devices, most of the time, we refer to them as output devices. And these are important because they take the energy from the source and transfer it into something that we can use every day. Let's go into more details in this. Now, you will know we spoke about the source. Now, this source is a cell or a battery. Now, why cell or a battery? Remember, the battery or the cell is the one that is providing the energy that we need in the circuit. And this energy is then taken up by conducting wire, meaning the wires will act as a relay. They take the energy from the source or the cell, and then they take it to where it is needed. Now, where is it needed? It is needed at the output device. And what this output device does is that it converts the electrical energy into another form of energy which will be useful to us. So actually the conducting wire acts as a relay or the road, a means of transportation from where the energy is needed to from where the energy is found to where it is needed. And this provides a closed system. Because remember, we are taking from source transportation to the output. Now, this creates a system, and this system, remember, we say it's a closed system where the electrical energy is traveling. It travels from the input to the output and then back. And this kind of thing is then called a circuit. All right, so let's recap. And an electric circuit consists of three things. Number one is a source in the form of a cell or battery. Number two, conducting wires, which are responsible for transporting energy from source to output. And then number three is an output device. And this system of transferring energy from the source to the output is referred to as a circuit. Okay, so here's another activity I'd like you to do. There's only 2 questions in this activity, so I'd say I'd give you around about 2 minutes to do the activity. So question number 1 says, name the 3 components of that a circuit must have. And question number 2, what does conducting wire do in a circuit? Let's take the 2 minutes to do that. I hope that you did get that one. Now let us go through the questions. Question number 1, which said name the 3 components that a circuit must have. We said a circuit must have a source of energy, it must have conducting material, and it must have an output device, which is a device that is converting the electrical energy into useful energy. Now, question number 2, which said, what does conducting wire do? Conducting wire, remember, it acts as a bridge from the input to the output, meaning it connects the source of energy to the output device and back to the source again. So let's see. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This activity was out of 5 marks. And with that said, we will stop there for today's lesson, and we are going to carry on in our next lesson, which is output device. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have done. Thank you for joining us for this lesson. I look forward to being with you in our next lesson.